Action!
Region Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Raging Review podcast. Track the Pack Sunday afternoon wrap up. Nick and Josh with you today. Jerry is busy. Didn't get the full story, but I'm sure we'll find out later. So welcome into the show. Glad everybody could be here. Thanks for joining in the Twitter space and YouTube land. Let's see. Facebook checking in. Twitch is on. Thanks everybody for being here. We love doing these shows. Love talking baseball. Especially a lot easier to do it after a win, Nick. How'd you feel about watching the team play and bounce back on a Sunday afternoon?
Look, it was encouraging. Overall, a disappointing week. I would have been happy with 2-2 after the way we performed at McNeese. But a good way to respond today, and we'll get into the nitty gritty in a little bit. But there were some things I was very encouraged by today, and overall this weekend. So we'll get into that. But again, disappointed but happy the way today turned out. Look, Campbell is a damn good team. I will put them up against any team that is ranked in the country right now. I think they go to play LSU, and that's a toss-up who wins that series. And LSU's ranked number one in the country right now. So no shame in getting beat this weekend, but L's are for learning, as Robe always said. So take what happened this weekend and use it to your advantage the rest of the season.
Yeah, I want to encourage anybody in the space that has any comments, please request and we'll get you in. I want to spend a little bit of time on the Camels, and I'm glad you brought them up. What a good baseball team. I've made the comment several times that their offense reminded me of our 2013 and 2014 team, where you never knew what was coming with that offense. It was small ball. It was moving runners. It was every out was loud. Nothing was easy with this offense. They always had runners in motion. Something was always going on, and it was evident that they were going to put pressure on us from the jump. And I thought the entire weekend, with exception of the first inning today on Sunday, the entire weekend, the defense and the pitchers were on their heels because it was just a constant bombardment from Campbell at the plate. They were super good. And then they throw out the All-American Keeler on Friday, who, we got to him a little bit early. I think that the environment probably had something to do with it. But overall, I think he ended up with 10 or 12 strikeouts Friday, and we'll get more into it, and we'll look at the stats in a few minutes. But just wanted to say, they throw the All-American at you, then they bring in the guy who's touching 97 and throwing a humongous slider. Very effective against our hitters. We look helpless for an inning or two right there against Cummings. And then Saturday they come out and we talked about Tequila. He looked good. We had our chances. I thought that we just, there was just a play here and a play there, and that's a totally different ball game. But we still put pressure late in that game to keep ourselves in there and really give us a chance to win. And then today, obviously, we just came out firing on all cylinders. But their defense was good. Their pitching staff was good. They got about 5 guys that can pitch anywhere in the country. And then, again, the offense was a game changer. What'd you see out of the pitching staff and defense?
Yeah, I think they need to get a reliable Sunday starter. I don't think they've settled on that. I know the guy today has struggled this season, and today was no different. He obviously didn't perform well. But, look, they came back and they made a game of it. And it's like the movie, what was it, Casino? I think, I don't know, maybe Jerry made this comment earlier in the season about something, but it's like the guy, Nicky, there was that quote where he says, you come at him with fists, he'll come with a knife. You come with him with a gun, he'll come with you, with something else. And that's what they felt like. It's like every time you thought, okay, we're getting ahead, they just came right back and said, not so fast, And I thought, look, again, they are going to be there. there's no way to me that they don't win this conference this year. I expect them to be in a regional, and I expect them to make noise this year. And again, that will only benefit us in the long run because jury's still out on Rice, jury's still out on BYU. This was a for sure thing. We knew they were good coming in, and we competed. And look, we weren't blown out by them by any means this weekend. We were a couple of plays away, and defensively didn't perform up to our standards a couple of times, which really cost us, right, a game or two this weekend.
Friday, it was weird because defense kept us in the game.
Right.
I made the comment to Jerry and BJ many times that defense kept us in the game. We really were lucky to be in the spot we were, and then we made the 2 errors to put ourselves behind the 8 ball. So that was a weird thing. We played great defense at times, but then we made some key mistakes. To your point,
yeah, it was a little bizarre. But again, we were still in the game at the end, and to me, that's a sign of a good team. Even though things aren't going your way, we did it against McNeese. We did it against Campbell this weekend. At the end, we were putting pressure, and we were in a position to win. I know you're probably going to bring up, why are we taking the bat out of somebody's hands? But we'll get to that later. But again, I thought we competed at the end of the ball game, which tells me they never had any doubt that they could pull this off, even though they didn't perform well for a couple of innings. So again, some encouraging things, some things we have to clean up, but it's going to, I think, help us in the long run this season.
One thing I loved about Saturday was, it started kind of slow, and then the run started coming, and it felt like a heavyweight bout. It was a run here, 2 runs here, 3 runs here, a run here. Each team continued to respond throughout that entire game. And then they got the big blow late. I think it was the 7th or 8th inning on Saturday that gave them the separation they needed. But that entire game felt like back and forth. It felt like 2 really good teams. And I kind of felt like the Cajuns started to believe in themselves a little bit more, if that makes any sense. Maybe it was the fact that we got in their bullpen. I don't know what it was. I thought that they left their reliever that went like 4 innings. I was surprised that they let him go later on in that game because it looked like he was tiring out. But look, credit to him. He was still throwing 93, 94, staying there, and he got the big outs that he needed. I was surprised by the move to let him stay in, but that really stood out to me this weekend was the nature, the feeling of it. The Tigue was buzzing. You knew you were head to head with a very good baseball team. And kind of going back to what you said about how good they are, they're definitely a postseason team. I think they're going to win the Big South. Mercer is not as good as they have been lately. They're still good. They're a potential regional team, but I still think that the Camels are head and shoulders above anybody else in that conference. For my money, that's the best team that I've seen in the Tigue. Hell, man, I don't know when's the last time we saw a team that good come in and play. TCU maybe, but I think that team's better than TCU was.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm TCU in 21. I'm talking about. No, that was last year.
That was
TCU
last year.
Came.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're better than TCU. They have like 12 guys that can hit. They have guys. They're athletic. They're big. They got power. They have everything you want in an offense. And like I said, if they can, like you said, that Sunday roll is going to be big for them going down the stretch. But really, if they can find somebody to just kind of plug and play on Sunday, then maybe not even find a starter. They can find like kind of what we do with Nizu and these other guys that are looking for a role, 2 or 3 innings here, 2 or 3 innings there. When they get that, they're going to be nasty. They might be a top 15 ball club, seriously. And I know people are going to hear that and be like, oh, that's a hot take. That's not a hot take. Why I can't wait to see them get into some of they have another. I'm going to look up their schedule here. They're about to play another big team that I'm going to be very interested to see how they match up.
Yeah, and their lineup. I mean, they have really no holes in their lineup. Every guy is a threat. How many home runs did they hit against us this weekend?
It felt like they hit 2 or 3 every game.
I know. Every time every couple of innings, like some guys hitting it out the park. And we're not talking like a blooper that the wind caught it. We're talking about line drives off the scoreboard. So I don't know, outside of a Sykes Orvis, that I've seen power up and down the lineup like they have it and consistently hitting the ball. They're not getting fooled. They're smart at the plate and they're crushing the ball. So again, it's going to be tough. They'll need to figure out Sunday pitching, midweek pitching, come up with their 4 starters for regional tournament. But man, I don't want to face them as a host team. If I'm hosting a regional, I don't want them in my regional at all. I want nothing to do with them.
Hell, if they keep playing the way they are, they may be hosting a regional.
You're right. You're right.
They have East. I know they already beat ECU 6-5 in their last midweek game before they played Butler, but they play them again in the next 2 weeks from now. But before that, they have Tulane twice in a midweek, which, good Lord, Tulane is just having they're on a struggle bus early in this year. So that might have been the game I was thinking of. But then they go to App State for a weekend, and then they have Coastal Carolina in a midweek. And then they have Winthrop, which I don't know how good they are this year, but they usually have a pretty respectable program. I don't know, man. Like you said, I think that their outs are hit hard. Everything they do it's difficult. It's a difficult matchup. I was super impressed with the Camels. I thought their fan base was good. They were a classy bunch. They got after it. They knew the game. They didn't do that like cheap, petty trash talk that doesn't make any sense. They didn't scream every time the ball was hit in the air. No cowbells. I liked it, and they gave us a lot of praise on social media. So of course we always appreciate that. But they love the cooking club. Of course, anytime anybody comes to the Tigue for the first time, the cooking club is like this magical, mythical thing. So I saw some of their fans talking about that. But the coaches they got a great coaching staff. We're a little bit familiar with them because of Jake Wells, like we talked about. But I knew they were good. Nick, I didn't know they were that good. Seeing that team in person, it was just a different experience.
Yeah,
I caught super good.
I caught a couple games that were streamed, and sadly enough, they didn't have radio with them this weekend. I would have loved to have. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll watch our stream, but I'll listen to the opposing team's radio broadcast for a couple innings just to see what they think of us, their perspective, hear about what they think about Russo Park. So I didn't get the chance to do that. But they're one of those teams like a Southern Miss, and I get that traveling is a little bit iffy and it's going to be costly because of where they're located. But they're like a Southern Miss team that I would love to play them every year, rotating home and away. I think if we want to be serious about our scheduling, and this is easy, and it's a win-win for both teams, I think that's the way to go. But again, I understand you're trying to get teams to come here and also cost prohibitive with having to fly there for games in the pre-conference. But I'd love to see them on our schedule every year or every couple years.
Yeah, I mean, we can make some sort of a return, or not a return. We can make a long road trip when we go to App State. Maybe we could stop off in Campbell. I like being associated with programs like that. They love their baseball. They're serious about it. They had a nice crowd. I mean, I would guess probably 100 people.
Yeah, and I think they're going to the Colonial League next year, right? Aren't they switching conferences?
I read that they were switching, but I don't remember what the conference was.
Yeah.
Colonial's a good league, though. Before we get into the games, I want to give a shout out and kudos to Sam and John, Super John. Music was awesome this weekend. We have toned down the Shattered Glass, which of course I hate, but if we have to play it and it's a sponsor thing, they used a car alarm. There was a car alarm and the Shattered Glass, and they used that interchangeably, so that worked. So shout out to those guys. Keep it up. Music's great. Everything's been good. I still think the speaker on the third base side is out. People are complaining about that. Also,
John is my protege, by the way. I trained him after I moved into the announcing role. So, yeah, I'm a little proud that my dude helped get things back on track this season. Sounded good.
Yes, they're crushing it. Also, the stats, okay? This has become a hot topic. We'll touch it for a second. The stats are not on the scoreboard for our home team, so we don't know what the season stats are. The rumor is that it's a Deggs thing. Well, it's not even a rumor now. It's pretty much confirmed. Deggs doesn't want the stats up on the scoreboard. And from my point of view, is the stats are for us. It's not for the kids. It's for us, the fans, to follow and, baseball's a stat game. It's built around stats. You should be able to look at the stats while you're watching the game. We spent the money on the Daktronic board for a reason. We should use it. Some people feel like that's not a big deal. Some people think that we should pull our phones out in the middle of the game and scroll through the phone and not watch the game to get the stats. Some people think that. Some people that call the game. I think that's ridiculous. I'm going to continue to say that's ridiculous. And look, this is no shot at the guys because I don't know if this is why it's not on there. But that's a red flag for me. If stats on the board are what keep us from hitting, that's a red flag. That should not distract anybody from anything. It's lit up numbers on a scoreboard. They know what their stats are, Nick. The players know what the stats are. It doesn't matter if it's displayed to the crowd or not. This is one of those bizarre, weird things that only would happen here. It's pissing me off.
I don't know the backstory about it, and I'm not going to question why or any of that. I'm just going to say if we want to be big time, we got to act big time. And if you got this beautiful scoreboard out there that's for stats and lineups and stuff, and you're not using it everything and getting every bit of money or use out of the amount of money you put into it, then I think that's a disservice to the fans. And again, they want it, so I lean a little more towards you should have the freaking stats up on the scoreboard. Every other college does it, major leagues do it, everybody does it. But again, I don't know the backstory, so I don't know if there's more to it and there's reasoning, but I just got to trust that they're making that decision for specific reasons I'm not privy to, I guess.
That's a very nice neutral answer. I think
that's a Jerry answer right there.
That's a Jerry answer. Shout out to Jerry. But BYU had their stats up and the Camels had their stats up. It's like, I don't know, to me it's Bush League, it just doesn't make sense. I think it's a ridiculous reason. Maybe the reason that we've been given is not correct because it doesn't sound like something that Deggs would. We preach water hose drinkers and dirtbag baseball. Stats on the scoreboard? I don't know.
Again, if you want to be big time, be big time. Don't, try to be Bush League if you've got the ability to do things and the fans want it. And ultimately, I think that's at the end of the day, you built this beautiful stadium with this beautiful scoreboard and you're not using it to its full ability. That's a little disappointing.
Same. And Joel said nobody should be on their phone during a game. And I agree. Why would I don't want to stare at my phone while watching baseball. Anyway, let's I know we didn't really talk about Campbell in the preview. I'm sorry, not Campbell, McNeese in the preview, but we need to talk about McNeese because at the end of the day, it was a loss. It was a midweek. It was a kind of confusing performance. They started Caden Morrow, and I'll bring up the stats in just a second. We'll look at it. But he was very effective against the Cajuns, and ultimately we lose the game 5-4. Now, we did fight back in the 8th and the 9th. I think it was Julian and Debo that hit 2 baseballs that almost got out of there to either tie or take the lead. So, it's not like we went over there and just completely didn't compete. We did do that, but you never want to lose to McNeese at anything, especially baseball, but they always seem to sneak up on us. And, Nick, I'll go ahead and share your thoughts on McNeese before I pull the stats up.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of wind, and it seemed like we were trying to hit it into the wind. We were swinging big at every pitch, and we didn't need to. We didn't need home runs. And look, McNeese got it. And I guess we were, I don't know. We were just pressing. We were swinging over pitches. We were swinging to hit it out the ballpark. We got close a couple times. But again, when you just be aware of the situation. If we need a base hit, don't try to hit for a triple. Like we need to score guys. And I know I'm rambling, but the point is, I feel like we tried too hard. and again, credit to Morrow. He did a great job. And look, McNeese and George Washington, I don't know. I didn't even know they had a baseball team, but they did sweep them this weekend. They beat Southern 10-3, which Southern's not that great, I don't think, but they were giving South Alabama a little bit of a game of it today.
I saw that.
Yeah. So the jury's still out on them. I think that's going to be one of those. I think 2 things early in the season, that McNeese game and losing 2 out of 3 to Campbell are going to be something that maybe we look back at the end of the season if we're a bubble team and Campbell's a bubble team, which I don't expect them to be. I think they're going to win the league. I think they're a shoo-in. But let's say something happens and they're a bubble team, we're a bubble team. They take a look at schedules and they see they beat us 2 out of 3, and then we lost to McNeese, and McNeese tanks the rest of the season. That could potentially be an issue. Now, if McNeese continues to win, they're on a 5-game win streak, then maybe things work out in our favor at the end of the season. But I think it's a more important game. Those midweek games really are more important than we give them credit for, in the terms of at the end of the season, if we're a bubble team, that's where they're going to start looking.
I agree. And again, we said it in the preview. McNeese was picked to win the Southland by a couple different publications, but I think D1 was the one that I read last. And they obviously have talent. I mean, Morrow was good. He was really good. He only walked 2 guys. Excuse me, that's the wrong one. He walked 4 guys. I think the final 2 ended up being his undoing, and they yanked him after that. But he had six strikeouts in 6 innings. And that's to me, that is a result of swinging for big flies. A guy like that, I mean, if I remember right, he didn't get above 91. His secondary pitch was very effective against our offense, which we say that so many times. I get sick and tired of, it's like, God darn it. We I love this offense. I love the theory behind the offense. I love the chaos and all that stuff. But, who was it? Eastern Illinois that came in and beat us in 2014, and you were like, what? How? How? Anyway, I don't know why this thing is not letting me share stats.
It doesn't like you.
I don't know dude. It won't even, anyway. So anyway, like we said, Kyle almost hit one out to tie the game in the 8th. No, that was in the 9th. Julian Brock was the one who hit it to the wall, at the base of the wall in the 8th that almost tied it. And other than that, I mean, they scattered, 7 hits? Scattered 7 hits. CJ had a hit. Hoodie, of course, had a hit. Old reliable. I mean, that guy shows up for work with his lunch pail, ready to rock and roll every time out. Every time he goes out to the ballpark. We talked about it at the beginning of the season. We thought Hood was going to have a breakout year. So far, so good. I think he's hitting like 450. I think he hit 6 hits this weekend. But JT had a hit against McNeese. Connor Higgs had a really good at bat late in that game, got a hit. But again, scattered 7. We did push some across late in the game. Of course, we scored 2 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th to come alive with McNeese. I know it was just a run here and a run there, but it was death by 1,000 cuts. They were stealing bases. Of course, Moody, he walked 4. I didn't think he pitched all that poorly. At least it didn't sound like it. I know I wasn't at the game, but it didn't sound like he pitched all that poorly. Again, 6 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, and he had 2 walks, but both of those walks scored. Obviously that's always going to be a killer. And he threw 87 pitches. I don't want to get ahead of myself. He pitched again this weekend, and we'll talk about that later, but we saw Nizu, who had a decent, he gave up a hit in an inning, but he had 3 Ks. And then we also saw Jerry Couch, who I don't know much about him. I know we've been seeing him a little bit more lately. And then we also saw Landry Wilkerson, who pitched 2 1/3, had a K in that 2 1/3 through 10 pitches. Held down the fort, gave the offense an opportunity until in the 8th when we made the errors, and eventually that became the winning run. So our push was relevant to a degree, but you can't make errors in the 8th inning. And for whatever reason, it seems like it's becoming a trend with this team where we're making these uncharacteristic errors and mistakes late in games. This won't show up on the stat sheet, but I think it was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday, Lee Amadei is in right field, and he doesn't charge a base hit, and the Camels ended up scoring a run off of it, but he didn't charge a base hit. Third base coach sends a guy around, and the throw was nowhere near him because he never charged the ball. Then there was a ball that was hit in the right field, foul territory in right field over by the Cajun Cooking Club. Could have been caught, should have been caught. He broke late. So I don't know if that is just it's maybe just a result of not playing very much yet. And I know he's young. Maybe he's a little nervous. I don't know what the deal is. He had some fantastic at-bats. But I'm making the point to say that late in games, we got to be more fundamentally sound. And you've seen 2 of the last 4 games that we've played, late mental errors and late errors on the field kind of cost us. What'd you see at McNeese?
No, same. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. We got to get better defensively because it's uncharacteristic is correct. If we're going to be this chaotic offense, we got to back it up with pitching and defense. And pitching is still a work in progress. And I get that we have new players, but if we're going to be switching players in and out at different positions at different points in the season, the guys we put in that maybe don't have as much in-game experience have to be on their A game every time they're in the ball game, because we know Deggs likes to do chess match and move guys all around the field. And you got guys today playing that weren't playing yesterday or even any game this season. He's going to start guys, he's going to bench guys for one reason or another. Those guys have to be ready to go, and they have to be on their A game, and they have to be focused. So there was maybe, like you said, I'll give a little leeway. It's early in the season. He hasn't had that much experience in the field, and he's relatively new. So I know butterflies are a factor at this point, but we got to, at the end of ball games, be able to trust our defense to hold up, because we're going to get that teams. If you're winning by 2 runs, that team is going to be pressing at the plate, and they're trying to do everything they can to score runs. So we got to shore that up. That's got to be something that we do sooner than later, because once we get into conference play, it's not going to be forgiving. We got a good conference this season.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that before we end the show. Conference did some good things on the diamond this weekend. And Lee, by the way, love you, buddy. Had some fantastic at bats this weekend. I'm not picking on you, just these are things that, like Nick said, if we're going to be good, and we know we are good, but if we're going to make some noise and we go into the postseason, those are the kind of small things that they may not show up on the stat sheet, but we got to get that fixed early in the season. So McNeese, like like Nick mentioned, they're on a 5-game winning streak, but I still think that they're a good team. We'll see going forward. I don't know who they have this weekend. Maybe we can look that up later. But for McNeese on offense, they didn't really do much. They only had 4 hits in the entire game. They left 6 on base, so we really minimized their opportunities. It's just that when they got them, they scored. A steal here, a bunt here, a timely single there. It was one of those games. Anytime you go to Lake Charles, you better have them strapped on tight, because if you don't, you are at risk for losing.
And look, they have a chance to. I mean, I know we host them Wednesday.
Yeah,
we better beat them. If we don't, then I'll be pissed. But regardless, let's say something happens and they beat us. I mean, they got a 3-game series against Prairie View, A&M, then Mississippi Valley State, and then Yale for 3 games, all in Lake Charles. I mean, that's 9 wins they should have easy. So they're going to pad their record, but I still don't know how good they truly are until they start getting into conference. I mean, they play Houston later in the season. They got Nichols, Houston Christian. So we'll find out, I think, once they start getting in conference play, but their schedule up until then is relatively easy.
Yeah, they're going to have some. The record-wise is going to be nice, and a win over us is going to be good for their RPI. Then once they get in the conference, the Southland's got some good teams. I know Southeastern's always going to be up there.
But they're going to take an RPI hit until then, because right now they're like in the 140s.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I bet Yale's not going to boost the old RPI numbers and whoever else that they play in the midweek. But yeah, anyway, like I said, not a ton of opportunities for McNeese. They scored. They beat us 5-4. You hate losing a midweek game in Lake Charles, but it happened. But I did say this, you can look at that as a positive. Going back to the whole thing about the scoreboard, if we're worried about the future and we're worried about stats, this is a very good time to be humbled. Early in the season, we can tell on the field that we have a good team. Now it's a mental game. You got to improve, and you got to improve without being cocky. And I don't mean actually being cocky. I mean, you get that false sense of security, that false sense of achievement when you really haven't done much yet. Can't do that. We got to get humble. If we're going to have humble pie, do it now. And McNeese served it up on this past week. So then we go into Friday, and we match up against a preseason All-American in Mr. Keeler, and he was as advertised. And, of course, I just clicked out of this thing. Okay, here we go. He was as advertised. He, I think, like I said, I think the atmosphere kind of got to him a little bit. I don't know how often the Camels play in front of big crowds. Roar. I mean, Friday night was like old-time Tigue crowd, loud, drunk. It was just a good time. People were engaged. I told Jerry, I think I told you, it was buzzing. It just had that big event feel. It had that regional feel. Felt like a regional. Everybody was kind of on every pitch, kind of on pins and needles. Like, I think that does something to players. We've asked our own players what it does for them, and of course they say it energizes them. So I can only imagine from Campbell's perspective how that went. So let me pull up the stats for them. Okay,
yeah, I got them on. I pulled up the box score for you.
Beautiful. I don't know why my computer hates me. So, if I can read this, hang on one second, Nick. All right. Yeah, Keeler, ridiculous. If you don't mind, scroll up just a bit. There you go. So I thought he went 7. He went 6. 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned. He only walked 1 and struck out 10 of our hitters. Ty Cummings comes in for 3 solid, gives up 2 hits and has 5 strikeouts in 3 innings. I mean, that guy, Ty Cummings, I'm glad we didn't see him again because he was absurd. But it was another one of those. I know you're good, I'm good. Let's feel each other out. And then Campbell, I'm going to do it the whole episode. Campbell comes out and just attacks. I remember that somewhere in the mid-innings, they had 2 on, no out, and it felt like Jake was starting to fade. They line one to Debo. He picks him off of first base, totally changes the complexion of the inning. There was a play that Marshak made The ball hit his glove. He kind of fumbled it, turns around, fires the first. Big play. It's thwarted one of their threats. It almost felt like every single inning we had to make a big time defensive play. Whether it be Julian throwing somebody out at second, or we had a outfield assist at home that was out. Like almost every inning, there was something that we had to do in order to stop them from scoring on Friday. And then when you got a guy like Keeler going, you almost feel like every opportunity has to be cashed in. And, we had a couple. We didn't do enough. We did get the two, or we get the one in the first inning. We got one in the fourth. That inning in the fourth should have been bigger. Very few chances after that. I will say this. We left 8 on, but it almost felt like there was no chances that didn't go by the wayside. So I'll give him this. I thought the guys battled. That guy was as advertised. His fastball, he sat 96. The scouting report said 93 to 97. He sat 96. The curveball was real. The changeup, I thought his changeup was his best pitch. We didn't even really talk about the changeup. So I don't know, man. That duo right there, Cade Keeler and Ty Cummings together, that is nightmare for a regional. That is in a small, like anytime you're going to have to win a couple of games in a short amount of time, if you can space those guys out, that's a nightmare for any offense.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you made the comment that you felt like every at-bat you had to cash in. And I feel like we started pressing like we did against McNeese. We felt like every at-bat had to count.
I agree 100%.
And so you try too hard, right? And that's part of the reason why I thought we had a better chance of winning Friday night than Saturday because the guy throws fastballs. But man, that secondary pitch, like you said, we struggled against. He's so, and when you're touching 96, I mean, I don't care if you're a fastball hitting player, 96 is hard to catch up to.
Oh,
so,
dude. And that I think it was like a circle change or a change up. It was 83.
Yeah.
It was an 11, consistently an 11 mile per hour difference, but it would dance. So when you got hard and fast and then you see 83 with movement, I don't care who you are and how good of a hitter you are, that is hard to deal with. And we banged everything into the ground, and which was obviously, and the other thing that helped him out was that the umpire was calling it high strike. They did it on Friday and Saturday. So, you have an expanded zone. The guy's touching 96, sat 96, and then the changeup, and then he complimented it with the curveball. Dude, he was absurd.
Yeah, everything lined up for him to have success, and he's a damn good pitcher. I mean, Dan was talking on the broadcast that he's projected first round. He was as advertised and more, and like you said, he is going to give someone fits in a regional this year.
Yeah, that duo is unbelievable. Shout out to Mason Zambo, who went 3 for 4 against those two guys. And I mean, look, Zambo is one of our most patient hitters. I love watching his at bats. Everybody's up there trying to hack. He goes up, chokes up a bit, and just slaps it to right field. I think he did it 3 times. I think all of his hits were to right field in the gap, or in the right between second and first. Just patiently sat back, waited on the changeup, slapped it. I was just so impressed with Mason Zambo this weekend, but in particular on Friday. And then, of course, Heath Hood had a hit. Yeah, I know. We should just get a stamp. It's every game. So Heath Hood, Rock had a big knock early in that game to get us on the board with a double in that right field corner. I thought that was so important because if you guys remember, that the top of the first inning, Campbell only got the 1 run, but we really got out of a jam. So to be able to tie the game at the bottom of the inning, I thought it was rejuvenating for the team. I thought that was a big knock for Rock. And, you got to lean on your stars against a guy like Keeler. So I thought that was big for him. Lee Amade, like we said, big at bats this weekend. None bigger than the one that he had. He did end up with a hit, but that hit late in the game on Friday for Lee Amade, a great situational hitting right there where you just got to be big. Boom, he was. I thought, I don't know, he impressed me a lot at the plate this weekend. And then I think that's all it is. It is. We left 8 on base. Felt like less than that. It felt like we cashed in on our few opportunities, except for in the 4th inning where, that should have been a crooked number that we hang. They get out of it with 1, and that's what happens when you have good pitching. You can get out of jams. I thought Jake Hammond, we didn't talk about Jake very much. I thought Jake Hammond battled his ass off. He went 5 2/3, and he did end up giving up the 3 runs, 9 hits. 9 hits, 3 runs. You know, what do you say? You scattered the 9 hits. He did have 6 strikeouts, and he did them all early. He had all of his strikeouts early when he needed them, though. I was impressed with Jake's fight. David Christie came in, gave up a hit and a run in two-thirds of an inning, and then Dylan Toy came in and threw some good inning. Well, it was two-thirds of an inning, but he threw some good pitches. He got out of a little bit of a jam. I know he gave up the run, unearned on the boot. And then Cooper Rawls came in and really pitched well, I thought. Gave us an opportunity to get back in the game late, but, you know, they got the 2 in the 7th, and we never really recovered from that.
And again, I think the 2 in the 7th and the errors in that game are just a testament to Campbell came out from the get-go putting pressure. And we saw that they were hitting runs, they were stealing, they were not scared, they were challenging Julian, they were challenging our defense. And I feel like the pressure that they kept putting on us. Now, look, inning 5, 6, didn't score any runs, but you always felt like they were going. They're at the brink of doing something, and you're kind of holding your breath. And I think that was part of the defensive issues that we had this weekend. Is we were trying so hard to stop them, and because they continually put pressure, and pretty soon that gets in your head a little bit. And I think that's what happened, because it was a 3-2 ball game. I mean, we were in it. We were. You know, I was just thinking, look, let's get to the 9th and score a couple runs and walk out of here. But then they break your heart because they continue putting pressure, and we folded. And so, again, it's a trend. Late games defensively, we tend to struggle. We got to clean that up before we start in conference play.
I'm on record, so this is not news. Julian Brock is my favorite player, so I got to be honest. I was shocked that, he was in the middle of those 2 errors. It's 3-2. There's 2 outs. We make the 2 errors on that ridiculous play. There's been a couple of times where Julian has not looked so solid back there early this year, and I'm wondering. I don't know. I'm shocked by some of the things that I've been seeing. Now, look, his arm is what it is. He's still throwing people out. He's still a weapon on defense. I'm not saying he's not. I just thought that was he misplayed a ball on the bounce, the one that got by him, and then the throw to second base. He threw it. The person behind him, the guy who was backing him up. I think it was the pitcher. I don't remember. Was it Toit that was in at the time?
I don't remember. I was screaming at the TV at that point.
Yeah, he throws it into outfield, and then the throw back to Julian. The guy's dead to rights, and he misses the ball. So, I don't know. Uncharacteristic. We used the word earlier.
But again, when they're putting pressure on you, you're just trying to make something happen.
Right.
And I feel like that was the point in the game where we let it get to us.
I agree.
So.
I agree. And then look, credit to the offense. They never back down. They never stop fighting. We put 2 on. We bring the tying run to the plate in the bottom of the 9th. I think it was CJ who was our final out. But you fought the whole time. You fought. And that's my lasting impression of Friday night is that, okay, Campbell is damn good, number 1. And then my lasting impression of us is this team is good. Campbell's great. We're good. We are improving, and you got to remember that Campbell's got a bunch of veterans they got back. They know their team. Their core is there. It's been there for a long time. They got a lot of older guys on their team. They have a lot of chemistry and cohesion. We are building that right now. I think the fact that we can compete with a team like this on a Friday night like that, that bodes well. Now, look, I never want to lose, especially at home. You got to protect home field, but at the same time, again, I can't overstate how good Campbell is. So I'll walk away from the game upset, but encouraged to a certain degree. And I couldn't wait until Saturday for game 2. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Real quickly, want to encourage anybody that's in the space, please request to speak. If you are on the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch channel, feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. So game 2 rolls around. I'm geeked. I was happy to see Tommy Ray get the start. I thought that he earned it. And I got to see more out of Tommy. He's got the stuff, and now all he's got to do is compete. He's got to go out and just put it all together. And I thought that, especially early on, he was rolling. He looked crisp. He was hitting the spots. Again, the zone was a little bit expanded, so if you know Tommy at all, you watch him pitch, he tends to elevate his fastball, which is kind of the reason why he gets himself in trouble. But he was getting that strike call early on, and he was getting ahead of hitters, which is, he has got to get ahead of people. So he did that well early. And then, of course, it got away from him a little bit. I think that was the second or third inning. Yeah, so he gave up the 2. And no, excuse me. It was the 5th and 6th inning when it got away. That was us. We scored early. But I felt like we were in control of the game. And then, of course, Campbell comes back in the 3rd, and they get the 3. And then Tommy goes out. They bring in Fluno, which, no. Was it Fluno that came in? Yeah, it was Fluno. And then they went to Etheridge. And I leaned over to Jerry, and I said, Etheridge is I was talking to Catherine. Etheridge is a contact pitcher. He's a guy that you want. He's looking for barrels, and he wants to put the ball on the ground. I thought that was a very interesting decision at that point in the game. Did you think anything of that?
I didn't at the time. Now that you're bringing it up, I'm kind of hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was the epitome of Campbell baseball yet again. I mean, we're gonna say it over and over for all 3 games. They continued to put pressure on us. They continued to be like Nicky in Casino. You threw something at him, he came back with something bigger, and they did that till the last out of the game today. So look, Tommy did a good job until he got, like you said, into a little bit of trouble.
Pearson hit that rocket to left field, and it was almost like it deflated him a little bit. But I didn't realize this, but he threw almost 80 pitches. So he had elevated pitch count in the 3rd inning. Well, going into the 4th inning. So, that probably played into the decision to pull him. I'm not going to be down on Tommy for that. Again, I think he battled. That's a great offense. I don't want to see him lose his job. I want to see him again on Saturday. I thought he was fine. It's a good offense. And that one mistake changed his entire start. That he hit the absolute daylights out of that ball. And then Carson Fluno was okay. Etheridge got rocked. Then when they brought in Ben Tate, I was pleasantly surprised with his performance. 2 1/3, gave up a hit. He did walk a guy through 32 pitches. I mean, look, that's about as good as you're going to be against a team like that. And if Ben Tate can be that out of the pen, that's a huge development for this team. Taylor Parrott came in, and I wasn't too familiar with him at all. He was okay, pitched an inning, gave up a hit, a run, an earned run. Did walk a guy, which we got to stop walking people. And then that was the other thing about Tommy that I was going to say. 4 walks. That right there is going to kill you every time. And if I remember correctly, the home run was after a 2-out walk, maybe a 1-out walk, and then Pearson hit the bomb. So just, again, based on balls, we got to stop walking people. Too many free passes. How many times have we said that here, Nick? You know what? We had another 7 walks on Saturday.
I'll be interested to see when they update the NCAA stats this week where we rank in walks, because we continue to issue free bases.
Yeah, error-free baseball, though, on Saturday, so that's encouraging. I tell you what, offense competed well against Tequila, and we at length talked about Tequila on the preview, but he was good. He did throw 4+ pitches. I thought we handled the changeup very well. It was almost like we learned something from Friday. Came back and really gave him all he wanted. He threw 80 pitches. He threw 5 full. Gave up 7 hits, 4 earned runs, and 4 runs and 3 earned runs. We only struck out twice against him. That was the most encouraging stat from Saturday from our offense. What'd you think? What'd you see out of the offense on Saturday?
I mean, Hood, Zambo, Zambo continues to impress. Heath Hood is Heath Hood. So I guess we're a little spoiled. Maybe I'm not as impressed because I expected from Heath. But man, Zambo is really turning out to be a hell of a hitter for us. Yeah, we competed at the plate. I think we were a little more disciplined. And again, we were in the position to tie or go ahead in the 9th, and we didn't pull it off. But the guy, every single look, I'm not going to say I don't know that we have holes in our lineup either, but we're just not as consistent as when you look at a Campbell team, because they don't have any holes, but they're consistently all performing and getting base hits and being smart at the plate and making smart decisions. I think we have a little ways to go there this season, because we've got the talent. We've got guys who are obviously buying into Deggs' system and the Wolfpack mentality. but we have to be consistent. And I think that's the one thing that we're missing a little bit, both in pitching and in hitting. But hitting not as much, but I still think we need to have a little bit more consistency there. And by the way, I absolutely I get we're going to take pitches, and I get we're going to get a sign that says take the next pitch. But when a guy's sitting up there with his bat literally on his shoulder, and before the pitch even gets to the catcher, he's backing out of the box, that drives me nuts, man.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
That
about.
drives me nuts. Why do we do that?
It's kids, man. They're cool. They got to be cool up there, you know? That's what I think. I think
That
it's
drives me nuts.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it either. To your point about the Campbell lineup, not a single starter didn't have at least one hit. And that's, to me, that is the telltale sign of a good offense. And look, Tommy Ray's a good pitcher. Carson Fluno's a good pitcher. Ben Tate is a good pitcher. They weren't swinging at guys just offering up meatballs up there. They went out and earned it, you know? And our offense, I thought we saw many things to be encouraged about. Again, Zambo, another 3 hits on Saturday, a 2 RBI for him. Julian Brock hit 2 doubles, 2 missiles. So it's good to see him swinging the bat. It's just like almost sometimes he sees the ball well. It's like game by game with him. I don't know. I don't know. I loved his at-bats on Saturday. Kyle Debo unfortunately didn't get rewarded for the good at-bats that he had, but he had several good at-bats, ended up with a hit and a run scored. Also, Lee, early in the game where we came out to set the tone, Lee Amade and Luke Uhas, one of our favorites, young guy we don't really talk too much about as Cajun baseball orbit, but 2 guys that we like here on Rage and Review, both got 2 big RBI knocks in that second inning, which was great. I mean, right back up the box, right the way you're supposed to do it. So shout out to them. Good at bats. Good to see young guys getting up there and not being scared of the moment, getting to the dish and making hay. That's what you need to see. So good on them. Heath Hood, another 3 hits. Like you said, I mean, we're spoiled. That guy, just ridiculous. But so other guys got some at bats. Peyton Lejeune got the start on Saturday. Probably not what he wanted at the dish. I think he struck out. No, he didn't strike out. It was Sunday, I think, when he struck out a couple times. But no hits. Not much. Didn't do much. Thanks, man. So anyway, I like to see a lot of guys get opportunities, and you saw that on Sunday. And we'll talk about the Sunday game here in a minute. But Peyton Lejeune getting some at-bats. Luke Uhas. Lee Amade was in the lineup a lot. You know, that's, Ben Robichaux pinch ran. But he's been included in the game pretty often. And I don't think he was a name that we talked about at all in the fall. So it's good to see guys that they trust early. I think that I think the coaching staff is saying, who can play? Who's going to show up and produce for this baseball team?
And not only that, but I know for a fact they are really, really high on the new players this season and the young guys.
Oh, yeah.
So every game that our old trusty vets are in, they're looking behind their shoulder. And, that's when we're talking about these late defensive moments that we seem to have. That's going to come back and bite them if they don't step up, because there's always a guy right behind them waiting to step up. And we know Deggs, and he's not scared to put him in there. So every player on this team's got to compete day in, day out, play by play, or else they'll get replaced.
Yeah, and so that was basically the story. And again, once again, in the 9th, we made the push, and it just came up short. We had the bases loaded with nobody out, or with 1 out. Bases loaded with 1 out, and it didn't happen, didn't come to fruition. But once again, you're in the 9th. Your guys are still battling. That guy, Aaron Run, that's the reliever that went 4 innings that I was talking about earlier. 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. He gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. He did walk 3 guys, and that was part of the reason why the 9th kind of started to get interesting. But he was good. And I said they had 5 guys that could pitch anywhere. He's one of them, Aaron Run. I was very impressed with his ability to bounce back after he got himself in trouble. So ended up losing 8-6. Another battle, heavyweight fight, back and forth. Cajun scored 2 in the second, 1 in the third. Campbell scores 3 in the third. Campbell comes back, scores 1 in the 5th. Cajun score 1 in the 5th. Campbell scores 3 in the 6th. Cajun score 1 in the 7th. Campbell scores 1 in the 9th. Cajun score 1 in the 9th. So it was just back and forth the entire game. And as a fan, it makes for a good watching experience. A lot of excitement in the game. It was so hot on Saturday, Nick. It was stagnant. We were in the sun. The beer was flowing because I was hot, nursing a little hangover because of it. But no, a lot of fun at the ballpark. Campbell's really good, and we fought. So So far, that's the story of the series, and then we'll move on to Game 3. Anybody in the space that want to say anything, please request to speak. We'll get you in. Again, if you guys are on the chat, love to hear your thoughts. We go into Game 3. Obviously, we've lost the series. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. You think, do the guys kind of have a letdown because they're disappointed with the performances from Friday and Saturday? As a younger team, and I don't think we're necessarily a young team, but we have a lot of guys that are younger that are getting playing time. So how do they respond? What is their mental state? Are they going to come out and fight? Are they just going to chalk it up as a lost series? Who knows? You never know with these teams. To their credit, they came out on Sunday and absolutely blew the doors off of Campbell in the first inning. Now, we talked about this in the preview, and your boy here said, I need to see Max Marshak at the top of the lineup. Because what, Nick? Last year, anytime that this team did anything fun offensively, Max Marshak was right in the thick of things. And if you don't mind, let's scroll down to his line real quick. I think he had some of everything. So Max, he led off for the team today. 3 at-bats, 3 runs, 2 hits, 4 RBI. Obviously, he hit the big mammoth grand slam in the first inning. 2 base on balls. He had a stolen base. He scored a run. He had an assist from the outfield. He had an assist from third. He did play third today, right? Okay.
Well, I think they switch him around a couple times depending on the defensive.
Yeah, they did
shift.
move him around.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was just in the thick of everything, that is Max Marshak's game. I like Debo at the top. I'm not saying that he's not capable or anything. I just really think that Max Marshak he's your prototypical leadoff guy. Maybe he's not going to hit you 500, but he's going to get on base. And they did that today. Today he got the big lick, which I'm very happy for him. I know he was struggling at the plate a little bit. So I'm thrilled that he got the big hit. And we, an 8 spot in the first inning, you're feeling pretty good. You're feeling pretty good about that. Was it?
Yeah.
I'm sure the TV broadcast was pretty sick. Was it Dan and Brendan on the call?
No, it was Dan and he was on TV3. I can't remember his name. I'm picturing his face.
Starts with a B. Last name.
Brasda, Scott Brasda.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. So, no, they put another dime in the jukebox, baby. Is his saying for that.
The older
another
I get,
Lynn
the more
Rollins,
I
right?
appreciate that saying.
Yeah. But no, they were pumped. I was pumped. But then, I was pumped for a little bit, and then I started remembering Rice and how we got up to the 5-0 lead and kept saying to myself,
good old CDS creeping in.
And by the way, you knew Camel wasn't going to go down without a fight, right? And they prove to not go down without a fight. And I'm scrolling back up because in the 5th inning, to me, that was the deciding factor in this game. Because if we don't come back and answer with 2 runs there.
The Juhas blast?
Yes.
You had to get that right there. Because
you had to.
You felt the momentum starting to shift. And then I got to go back and look at the clip, and he just that's a piss missile. That was a rocket. And good for him. That guy's got more power than he knows what to do with. But I agree 100%. You had to get something there. And
yeah,
look, they got the 2. You're moving. They got 5 in the 6th. So think about it. If you don't get the blast there, what are you talking? 8-7 there, and then at that point, you're thinking, oh God, here we go.
Yeah, because we did it against Rice, right? That's exactly how we got into that position against Rice. But Brendan Bro on the Friday night broadcast said something about the 5th inning being, I don't remember. And if we get him on here in the next couple of weeks, I want to ask him what he said about the 5th inning, because he said something about it being a momentum shift, or he said something about being very, very important, because that's the point in the game where you kind of, the momentum either is going to continue going your way, or it's going to continue going their way, or you're going to shift it. And this was, to me, it rang true to me, because again, if you don't respond in the bottom of the 5th, then you're staring at an 8-7 game in the 6th. And I'm telling you, they got a whole lot more momentum at that point, obviously, if you don't score those 2 runs. But then we answered again in the 6th, which was good to see, and what we needed to do. We needed to say, and we didn't answer by scoring 5, but we got 3, and we started putting some doubt in their head. And I think we didn't allow them to put doubt in our head. We put doubt in their head. And I think that's what really led to the win today, is because we responded, and we responded big, and we just said, screw you, we're not going to let you take this one from us. And so things worked out in our favor.
I agree. I think, we've said it for years, good teams respond. And you can look Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And look, we lost the series and it ended up not being enough. But the Cajuns and Campbell continuously responded to the other's offensive attack. And you can go right to the 5th and the 6th inning. It's a perfect explanation and example of what we're talking about. Uhas gets the blast to answer after they put 2 on. They come back in the top of the 6th and get a 5 spot. And I was with you. I'm like, oh, God, there's no way we're going to blow this. And we come back with a 3. Look, you can't overstate how important that is. What do they talk about? How the way that you own the momentum is you score and then blank them in the bottom or the top. Well, again, this entire series, it was answer, answer, answer. Constantly going back and forth. By the way, last thought on Max. Max didn't play Saturday. I thought he was hurt. And then I heard Degg say on the preview before the game today, he said that they had a little hiccup right before the game Sunday. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
No clue.
Injury or some kind of?
No idea.
Yeah, I don't either. But anyway, let's talk about pitching first before we do offensive stats. I thought Jackson Nizu started out like a barn on fire. He mowed through their lineup twice, which not a lot of people are going to do that. I was impressed by his stuff. He didn't look like he was too timid for the moment. I think it was Top that made a good comment about, pitching with a lead. Everybody thinks, pitching with a lead is what you want to do. And of course you want to have the lead, but it's a different psyche for a pitcher. You have to go in and you got to know that, look, I am the one that is going to kind of be the catalyst for this win now. I have to keep the things on the rails, but at the same time, you have to attack hitters because the last thing you want to do is you want to walk people with a lead. You give free base runners to an offense like Campbell, and they're going to make you pay. So I know that Nizu was probably working through some things there, but I give him credit. He went 5 and he ended up giving up 6 runs, but David Christie came in there and was ineffective in 2/3 of an inning. It's still Jackson's responsibility, and I understand how the rules of baseball work and everything, but his line is kind of not what he deserved, I think. I thought he was really good in some moments. He did have 7 Ks. He threw 76 pitches. How many walks? 0 walks.
Exactly.
That's a
right
number
there.
that's going to stand up to me. Sunday, you got to swing the bat to win. We all know that. If you're going to swing the bat, I'm not going to walk anybody. That's a relationship I'm interested in.
No,
So
I'm
good
with
for
you.
Jackson.
I mean that's what stood out to me is no walks, 7 strikeouts. I mean, and 7 strikeouts on a damn good hitting team. And like you said, Christie, he was responsible for the runners on base. So I mean, it's his runs to give, but still, I was encouraged based off of what we've seen so far this season. I was encouraged.
Yeah. We have a special guest speaker, someone named Gary. Is this Gary? Go ahead, Gary. Floor is yours, Jerry.
Boomer doesn't know how to work the Twitter space.
Of course, the Boomer phone never.
He's probably
fails.
got the flip phone, right? He's trying to figure out how to unmute.
Jerry, once you figure it out, just text us or something. We'll let you in. But anyway, going back to it, I was impressed with Jackson's effort. I know he got a tough luck. I mean, that's a bad line when you look at it, but really, it really wasn't that bad if you watch the game. My boy Brendan Moody comes in, absolutely slams the door with a K, no walks, no hits given up in an inning and a third. He did have a hit by pitch, so that is a free base runner. I know, shame on you for that. But Blake Marshall came in 2 innings, 2 walks, started to get a little nervous, but he didn't give up a hit, didn't give up a run. He still looks fantastic. Brendan Moody, I think, will probably end up being in the rotation before it's all said and done. He's just too good. He just has too many options in the toolbox. We're going to have to use him. So, I don't know. I do like him out of the pen, though. I understand why Seth wants to use him out of the pen. One way or another, we know Brendan Moody is going to be a factor in the pitching staff this year. What did you think of the relievers?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see some guys emerge. There were so many unknowns going into the season, so it was really hard to understand what our bullpen will look like. But I'm with you. I think we have a spot for Moody. Blake Marshall is Blake Marshall. Would still like to see him cut down on the walks, but all in all, I think we're still starting to see the bullpen take shape and see where we have guys who can really contribute and what their role will be. So I think we've got a couple more weeks of that, and I think it'll work out nicely once we get those pieces into place.
I think we're starting to see who is going to be the contributors. It's rounding out, and they're getting better. That's the other thing I was going to say. It feels like everybody's getting better. You know, you want to see David Christie be more effective. I think David Christie's a good pitcher, but I got to see some results. Like, at this point, just having good stuff is not good enough. This team is too good. We got to find guys that can contribute. I think David Christie has all the pieces. He's got the size. He's not scared. But at the end of the day, we got to get some results out of David Christie. There are a few others that I would probably have a sit down talking to on Monday or Tuesday when they meet. Guys got to throw strikes. We got to throw strikes here. And I know it's one of those, drunk fans in the stands, throw strikes. It's not like that, but at the end of the day, you got to stop giving the free passes.
But I think I'm going to be a little more forgiving this weekend. I hate it. Okay. But I think I'm going to be a little more forgiving because they're such a damn good hitting ball club.
It's true
that you're gonna try to nip those corners, and whether or not the umpire is going to give it to you or not, that's one thing. So I'm willing to kind of look past that this weekend. But because I don't know that we're going to see another team that hits as well as they do until we play Southeastern. I think Southeastern is a very much like Campbell as far as being aggressive on the base paths and can hit the ball. So I think I'll be a little more forgiving this weekend, but not next weekend.
I got to be honest with you, Nick. I outside of that school across the basin, I don't think we're going to see a team better than this season. They were that good. I'm serious. Yep. I'm very impressed. On the other side, we got into their bullpen early. Ernie Day gave up 8 runs in 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks. I just wanted to chase the guy. I didn't think we were going to do it in the first inning. Great to see. It's been a long time since we put up 8 runs in an inning. I think it was 2 years ago. But of course, you always want to just jump out of the gates and put a team back on their heels. That's what we used to do all the time around here. But then they brought in this Cade Boxrucker, which they have some great names. Ernie Day, Cade Boxrucker. This is good stuff. He was actually pretty effective. He pitched 4 in the 3rd, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned. He did walk a guy through 67 pitches, but kind of kept him in the game for a stint. You know what I mean? I thought he was okay. He had decent stuff. And then I think that was just the back end of their bullpen that we I know we saw Cameron O'Brien twice this weekend. So, it is what it is when you play the game a little bit differently when you have a 10-run lead or an 8-run lead. So, I understand why things change a little bit, but we continued to chip away. We continued to try to get that 1, that 2 here and there to kind of extend the game for us and make sure that we were going to keep the lead that we built. I was impressed by that. I thought the offense was the story of the game. Obviously, we scored 2 touchdowns. So how can it be anything else? Before we touch the offense and wrap up game 3, Mr. Gary, have you figured out the boomer phone? I will get you in. All right, Gary, floor is yours, sir.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
It works.
Oh.
What's up, bud?
Well, sorry I can't make it today. I had some other obligations I had to tend to, but I figured I'd pop in and say hi. We salvaged the weekend. We salvaged the week today in a very big-time fashion, so I was very pleased with that. And I'm hoping that can carry some momentum going into Wednesday night. I think we can – if we start the game early against McNeese and don't show up in the 7th inning, I think we can take care of business at home. And then, then from there, hopefully, High Point's not a bad team, but they're not Campbell. So this is kind of one of those weeks where we have a shot to really regroup, if you will, and just kind of continue on from what we did today. But I tell you this, yes, we went 1-3 over the weekend, but I was very pleased with the fight in this team. Friday, actually all 3 days. All 3 days it came to the final out with those losses. So one thing about a Dags team and one thing about this team is they will not quit till the final out. But I heard some of the analysis. I think pitching. I was kind of wondering, what do you guys think about the pitching as far as the consistency? How much longer do you think it will take to find each pitcher kind of knowing his role and showing that consistency? Because that's one thing I'm a little concerned about before we get into conference play. Because bats can't always bail you out, right? You can't always hit the ball to bail you out. You need solid pitching.
I think that, well, first of all, I've told you this many times before the season started, pitching is a concern because, first of all, when you don't know what your role is, that's one thing. Okay, so we're finding roles for pitchers right now. Who knew that Blake Marshall was going to come in and look like, Hogan Harris from 2017? He looks awesome. Who knew that Brendan Moody was going to be this effective? I knew he had good stuff, but it's totally different when the lights come on, right? So you got to see who can pitch. But there are other guys that are still figuring out how they're going to contribute on this staff. But I will say, I thought Friday, the story was the pitching. I thought pitching Friday kept us in the game, number one. But, I mean, Jake really battled his ass off, man. You can't put a price on that. I know he gave up the 9 hits, but he got outs in big moments when he needed them. The bullpen came in and solidified it for the most part. Again, we lost the game not because of, but in large part to that 2-error play where they scored their 2 runs late in that game. So the pitching for me on Saturday was the story. I thought it was great. I was great to see that in a big game, the way that they stepped up. Saturday, you played a damn good offense. You can't keep them down. All right. I just thought that Campbell came out and they just put pressure on our pitchers all game long, even though we battled and it was back and forth. The game was nip and tuck the entire time. I still think that Tommy Ray is going to be effective in some capacity or another. I think he got himself in trouble later in that game in the 3rd inning, whatever. I think he just got himself in trouble, couldn't bail himself out, and you can't walk people. So like Nick and I were talking about, it's getting better. It's not getting worse. That is a big, big thing. How are we projecting? We're projecting in the right direction. And then on Sunday, I think Nizu's probably going to keep the job. I don't know. But I thought he was effective today. And I know he got a tough line, but he was effective today.
Well, that's why I think this High Point series this weekend is very important because I don't expect them to be any type of juggernaut coming to the Tigue. Now, granted, I don't want to count all the chickens before they hatch or the eggs before they hatch, but at the same time, I think this is the McNeese game on Wednesday comes at a good time because you get another try at them and you keep your feet wet for the midweek, but then you go into a series against a High Point team where I think the team can kind of build, or should I say the pitching can kind of build some confidence. I don't expect High Point to be anywhere near the hitting power that Campbell was. I mean, Campbell's probably one of the best hitting teams I've seen in 2 or 3 years that we have faced. And so I would think that this would be a great opportunity next weekend for the pitching staff to build some confidence and pitch some really good outings. By the way, I did want to say, we're I know y'all probably touched base on this about the stats on the school board. I do have one question. How can you go on your phone and check your phone for stats if on Friday night the Raging Cajun website was down? Where do you go?
I don't know. Ask the play-by-play guy.
I mean, because it's funny. I tried looking on the site. I believe it was sometime during the game to get some batting averages, and there was an error on the RagingCajun.com website. So there was nowhere else to go unless you went to Campbell's site. But the problem is that they reroute you to the Raging Cajun website whenever you want to do the live stats. So there was no access to actually get live stats Friday night when people were questioning why there's no stats on the school board. So my opinion on that, I'm kind of like Nick, man. I really don't. I guess we paid all this money for a new school board. It would be nice to actually get some fan experience and get that. I kind of understand why the team may not want to do it, with the Wolfpack mentality and stuff. But at the same time, I mean, as a fan, I would kind of like to see on the scoreboard what our players' batting average is, and I would hope that wouldn't be a distraction to our players. I highly doubt they're going to be looking at the scoreboard when they're trying to get a base hit or they're at bat. So
the scoreboard is for the fans. It's for the fans.
I thought it was pretty funny, though. I thought it was pretty funny whenever we were, bunch of people were saying, well, you can always go check on your phone. Well, you can't really check on your phone when the website's down. So I thought that was interesting.
But you can get Dippin' Dots before the middle of the 7th, not after. Let's just all remember this for future reference.
Somebody brought that up today. And make sure you get cookies and cream before the end of the 2nd or 3rd inning because apparently they run out fast. You learn something new every day.
Raging Cajun delivers, man. The entertainment, if you're not on it, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. It's just great.
Look, when I saw the Dippin' Dots thread, I'm just like, just when you thought you couldn't find any other reason to show concern as a fan, they bring up Dippin' Dots. And when I read the title,
before I clicked on it, I laughed.
Like, should I click on this or not? And then when I clicked on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why. Say what you want about Raging Cajun, but this is why I love Raging Cajun because, and it's funny because today fans were talking about it. There were some kids sitting a few rows below us, and they were like, make sure you go get your Dippin' Dots before the 7th inning. And I told them, hey, but get your cookies and cream before the end of the 2nd or 3rd because they may not have cookies and cream, but. Anyway, guys, by the way, I brought Allie to the game today. Kayla and Allie came to tag along, and she's 3-0 at the Tigue. So whenever Shock hit that grand slam, the people in front of us turned around. They're like, yeah, you're bringing her to every game from now on. So I shall do my best because apparently she's our good luck charm. But
Whatever it
anyway,
takes.
guys, just wanted to say hello, and I will be back on the airwaves with you guys this week. And yeah, tune in at 7:30 tonight, man. We got a basketball game to play and a conference championship to win. So I will talk to you guys later.
All right, dude. Be good. The third leg of this stool checking in via the Twitter space. And by the way, if anybody else wants to speak, please request. We'll get you on. We love your comments. Speaking of that Grand Slam, hell of a way to start the ball game. The offense looked like the offense that, we want to see, obviously. Shock had 2 hits. Rock had 2 hits. Hood had 2 hits. Julian he only had 2 official at-bats. I think he walked a couple times, or maybe got a hit. Yeah, he got hit. That's what it was. But Lee Amade with another hit. Debo with a hit. He only had 1 official at-bat today, which is wild. He must have walked a couple times. Let's see. Let me move this thing. Yeah.
By the way, shout out to John Taylor.
Oh, yeah, JT.
Man, he had one that carried today. I thought that was out.
Yeah, same.
On
He had
the
a very
warning
nice
track.
day at the dish. Was probably his best performance as a Cajun offensively. So would love to see JT get going. He's got some power, and he can slap it around the yard. Luke Uhas, we talked at the top of the show, hit that blast to left center, and we needed it. And he had 2 hits today. He was good. I am very excited about that guy as a player. True freshman, built like a shit brick house, just huge. But yeah, offense was good, man. They did everything you would want them to do. Obviously made that pitcher pay for the walks, and I think they booted a ball at shortstop that kind of helped that inning along. And then Max with the big knock right there. 8-0 is hard to come back from. If there was a team that could do it, it would be Campbell. Pearson. It was Pearson. There were hitters that I remember just because every time they come up to the plate, it seemed like they would hit the cover off the baseball. It was Pearson. It was their leadoff guy, Drew Winters. Logan Jordan was another one. Harold had a big knock today. I think he hit a home run today, actually. Bryce Arnold. Dude, honestly, their entire offense is just so good. And I know I've said it a million times, but everything they hit is hard. Everything that they do offensively is terrifying. They did make it a game, but in the end, the Cajuns were able to just continue consistently putting together good innings offensively, and we got into their bullpen, and it was over. So you want to win on getaway day. I hate losing Sundays, and we do that too often the last 2 years. But I'm glad to get a win on getaway day. Makes you feel good going into the next week. Overall, Nick, just what did you think about today?
Yeah, encouraging, I think is the word that I had. Again, there's not one game this season that we have not shown fight. And I think that helped us out today because how easy would it have been for you to start getting discouraged when they score 5 and get within, 3 or 4 runs. So, no, all in all, encouraging. And again, we're seeing our team get better as the season goes on. I think this time last year, we were a little concerned getting close to conference play because we still didn't know who had what role, who was going to be a leader, who was going to step up. I don't think we have those questions this year. I think we know who our leaders are on the team. I think we know outside of some pitching, I think everybody knows their role on the team. So again, encouraging that we have seen consistently our team fight till the very last out, and we saw that again today. And I look forward to maybe. Again, not to say that High Point's not a good team. I mean, we could drop a game or 2 to them. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. But I feel like maybe taking a little step back in the schedule until we get into conference play is going to be nothing but help for us. So yeah, encouraged. That's the word that I have.
I agree with the fact that, or the comment that you made about always fighting back. That is a Degs team, and teams are going to take the attitude and the image of their coach. I think this team, more than the previous few, have that. A lot of it, they fight. And he's got to be thrilled about that. I know he was upset Saturday. I listened to the post game, and he was just not happy. But that's good. That lets me know our standards are in perfect hands. These guys, they're not going to be sitting in the clubhouse still going, well, we fought hard. No, there's going to be some hard practicing going on in the next week. So that'll wrap up the series. The Cajuns go 1-3 this week. Obviously not what we wanted, but there's still some things to take away that are positive. So we'll do that. Let's kind of look around the league.
By the way, before you go to the league, let's talk about our opponents from earlier in the season.
Yep.
So BYU went up and hosted Omaha, who is not very good. They won 2 out of 3. Got beat today 16-4.
Saw that.
Not great. And I had the other Rice baseball schedule up. Let's see. They had a huge win earlier this weekend. They beat Texas Tech 3-2.
They played in the Shriners this weekend and they beat Texas Tech on Friday.
Yeah, beat Texas Tech 3-2, then lost 13-1 to Texas A&M, and then lost today to TCU. So not a great weekend for Rice. I think the score today was 7-4.
7-4. Okay, so competitive.
Yeah.
How's TCU look this year? Have you?
No, 7-0. Excuse me. They got shut out. So not as great as I thought.
Yeah, their offense it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
So RPI wise, that Texas Tech win is good. There's been a couple of decent RPI wins that's going to help out, but we got to take care of our own business. But yeah, Rice is much better than they were last year. That's for sure. No question about that. In the league, Georgia Southern, after losing on Friday to UCF, comes back and takes the series. They won Saturday and Sunday. Won today 11-8. Marshall played St. John's, and I only see scores for 2 of those games. Marshall won 1, lost 1. I'll try to see if I can get the other one. I don't know what happened. Maybe they play a doubleheader today. Coastal Carolina fell behind Davidson on Friday. It was 6-0 into like the 7th inning, and then all of a sudden they blew up for 7 runs, ended up winning 7-6, and they came back and took the series. They won today 12-5. ODU played St. Joseph's out of New Jersey. They won today 13-11. I think they lost Saturday. I don't know much about St. Joseph's. It's not St. Peter's. We'll make that joke to the ends of the earth. App State takes 2 of 3 from Gardner-Webb. Today they got absolutely donkey punched 19-6, but they did win the series. App State, I don't know what to expect out of them yet, Nick. They hired their new coach 2 years ago, and they've been okay, but I just don't know if App State's baseball country, this football, they're always going to be a football team to me. It's football school. So, but
we'll find out quick because they host Campbell next weekend.
That's
right?
true. That's true. They
So we'll find out real quick. Yeah,
that's right. Arkansas State ended up winning against Missouri State today, 8-7, which is good. We need the Arkansas States of the world in this league to start winning games. That's not Southeastern Missouri State that everybody knows, SEMO, who's consistently in the postseason. This is just Missouri State. Not very good. Troy sweeps USC Upstate from South Carolina. Now, I know it's not a household name or anything, but USC Upstate is a good program. They play good baseball in the Carolinas. Troy swept them. Troy is undefeated, have not been beaten this year. I think they're going to be good. I think they're formidable. Here's the shocker of the weekend for me. Southern Miss, after kind of a lackluster start to the season, sweeps Dallas Baptist. Won today 7-2. Swept the series. Dallas Baptist is a good baseball club. I did not see that coming at all.
Isn't it Dallas Christian now, by the way?
Houston Christian, right?
Houston Christian? Oh, I'm getting them confused. My bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
Yeah, I think that's right. So DBU moved to a better conference, though. I know that. I don't remember where they moved. Was it Coosa? No.
It might have been. It might have been Southland. No.
Southland. I don't know. I know that
might
they
be
moved.
making that up.
No, they definitely moved. Just don't remember. Of course, we went over Louisiana and Campbell. Incarnate Word beats Monroe today 12-4, but Monroe won the series. Monroe beats Mississippi State in a midweek game and dominates them, and then starts losing to these nobody teams. Now, Incarnate Word's a good team. Well, they're okay for their league. But 12-4, I mean, come on, guys. Where we're at here. Probably walked a bunch of people. They can't pitch.
Yeah, going back to DBU, I think the jury's still out on them because they had 2 sweeps against Fordham and Austin P.
Okay.
But then lost to TCU, and then they also beat UT Arlington. So I don't know that their schedule is.
It hasn't told us anything yet.
Hasn't really told us much. Right?
I guess
so
we're going off of history with.
Yeah, and those were they're really. I mean, the Friday night game with Southern Miss, they lost 4-3. Yep. The Saturday night game, it was 2-1. So I don't know. Jury's still out.
Competitive. 7-2 today, but you know how Sundays you got to swing the bat. Everybody knows that. Grand Canyon takes the series from Texas State. Now it's at Grand Canyon. Good program. One of the best mid-majors in the country right now. Texas State, you felt like had an opportunity to win that series, so that's disappointing for the league. I don't know how good they are, man. They look like they're taking a pretty big step back so far. The results have not been good for them. I forgot who they played last week, but they lost the series then.
Look, Grand Canyon beat Tennessee this season.
Good.
They beat Ohio State. I don't know how good Ohio State is, but they beat them twice. So, yeah, they're a good ball club.
Yeah, GCU is good, man. So Texas State, not just pop on right now. We'll see. South Alabama, I think, had a 3-game set with Southern this weekend, which is weird. But I don't know if they swept. It was competitive. Every time I checked the score this weekend, it was competitive. They did win today, 8-3. South Alabama did. And then I'll go back after we get through with this. Marshall loses to St. John's today, 5-3. And that is another series that I only have 2 scores for. Let's see if I can go back and check it out. Again, they may be playing some double headers today because of weather.
So, yeah, South Alabama played an invitational.
Right, the NTE.
Right. So they lost to Pepperdine Friday, 12-5, and then they lost to Iowa 6-2 yesterday.
Wow, so they went 0 on the weekend.
So they went 0-2 going into the Southern game. I'm trying to pull that up, but it's taking forever.
Yikes.
But they were up 6-3 on Southern last time I looked.
Apparently Iowa's pretty good though. They did beat LSU. They have a couple of decent wins on their schedule.
But, South Al won 8-3 today.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's a trip around the league. Not too significant for us yet. We're still finding out who some of these teams are. I'm shocked that South Alabama is having this beginning because they can pitch, or they were billed as a good pitching team. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but I hope they don't get right when they come to play us. Or I think we go there this year actually. They seem like they always fix it when we come to town. So anyway, that's the show for you, everybody. Appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us. Nick, you have any parting shots before we tell the people bye?
No, man. Just again, a reminder to our fans. Look, Dippin' Dots before 7th inning. Be good to go. For 7th inning stretch. They might still do it at the top, but don't take a chance. Go in the 6th.
And they used to let you still buy beer after the 7th in the suite. They stopped doing that this year. Jerry was sitting next to me on Friday. I was like, hey, Jerry, you want to do me a favor? So he walked over there to get a beer, and they wouldn't sell it to him.
Well, they probably just wouldn't sell it to him.
To Jerry. All right, everybody. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please tell your friends about us. We continue to grow at an amazing clip, and it's all because of you all. We love doing this. It's all fun. This week coming up, we got McNeese at the Tigue, and then we host High Point. Don't sleep on High Point. Just because it's High Point doesn't mean they're not a good baseball team, because they are, and they're coming here to fight, so we need to be ready. Again, Nick, thanks for doing it. Go Cajuns in the basketball game tonight. I really, really, really want to go to the dance. So let's make that happen. Other than that, we will be back for Track the Pack. I'm not sure if we'll do a preview or not, but we'll probably just do Track the Pack on Sunday. It's a busy week for all of us. And the Rainbow Mermaids have grown up to be the Cajun Racers. So we play on Wednesday. I'll start giving some more updates. We did win our first game, 3-0. Absolute domination of possession. Anyway. All right, everybody. Enjoy the games. Thanks for coming. We'll see you.